All right, we are live. So the quick show of hands. Who like honestly, who saw some of the microphones? So first page. All right, good. So this is a sugya which is has been on my mind a lot the past few months because I mean it's just the world is dealing with this question of like how do large groups of people, bodies of government, as ציבוריים deal with tzibur questions. So it relates to a sugya that we learned together in the first part. So I thought we'd revisit it, and when something is lamaisa, so I think we'll appreciate more the way halacha deals with it, and it'll also be just like again, we're not going to pass on anything, but I think we'll understand a little better what's going on. So for chazara purposes, so just for a quick chazara, we saw the sugya in the first parak on Testament Beis, Testament Aleph. There's a din that the Bnei Ha'ir, right, the citizens are allowed to make rules. The local example in the Gemara is for enforcing certain chiyuvim tzedakah, as well as if within a certain guild to make rules and enforce those rules. But if you recall, we had a Chuvas Harivash, really following the footsteps of Ramban and Migash, who expands this din. He expands it basically almost no limitations. That the tzibur, any local tzibur has basically the call out from Bezin HaGadol, because Klal Yisrael can make decisions that are binding, and whoever are the elected officials of Klal Yisrael, the Tuvei Ha'ir, who are elected to represent the Jewish community, they can make rules, and those rules, for example, in Rivash, was that the local community had a rule that they had a takana that if you're mekadesh an isha without the haskama of the community, which was defined as 10 people from the community being present, then the kedushin is batal. The kedushin is totally batal, with no need for a get, because you violated the terms of the community. The Shoah wants to know, does a community really have the power? Like Hefker doesn't Hefker, don't you need to be, like Ravina and Ravashi, like Goli Hadar? And Ravash said, no, you don't need to be Ravina and Ravashi. The community has the power to make rules. And he cites our Gemara. That's one leg of what we saw. Another leg of what we saw was the point that I think was attributed to replying, but basically really just a
Rabbi, we lost you.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
I
yeah.
don't know what I was
Don't worry,
thinking.
you didn't miss the thing. What if I just use my phone?
Your Zoom?
Yeah.
It's very choppy.
Okay. This is choppy?
It's a little hard to hear.
Okay. Is it this? Is that better? Okay. Whew. Okay, let's try again. Okay? Okay. So so number one, we saw that there's a siyach hitzas, that the tzibur has the right to make rules, whatever rules they want. The tzibur has the right, not a chiyuv, but the right to enact rules and regulations that could affect not only mamanis, but even isurin and all sorts of ways. The second leg we have is now the Rambam in Parak Tes of Hilchot Tzedakah, Hilchos Matnas Haniyim. The Rambam says, "Kol ir sheyesh ba Yisrael chayavin lahamid mehem gabay tzedakah." Every community has to appoint a gabay tzedakah, right? And the specific is so you see like with the godless of learning. The specific usage, like the specific answer was, well, Tosfos had a question, why isn't tzedakah a mitzvah say matan suva betzida that bezin shouldn't be kofe on? So the kasha, so Reb Chaim suggested the as well. If it's a mitzvah on the tzibur, then we are kofe. So that's like the kasha and teretz. But learning is so much more than a kasha and teretz. I mean, there's a yesod now. There's a real living, breathing principle that tzedakah is not just the chovas hayachid, but chovas hatzibur. So it's a nice answer. And then the question is now, what do we do with it? How does that affect the actual halacha, the system of halacha? So we didn't talk about that so much at the time, but we could think about that just again now that we have a real live halacha ma'aseh case. Because again, now tzedakah doesn't only mean to give a poor person money, but let's say to be concerned for somebody else's life, right? To allocate resources. The community has money that they're going to use for devoting to healthcare, and then the community can make decisions that will promote other people's well-being. So the question is, what does it matter that it's not just the chovas hayachid? I personally have a chiyuv to give tzedakah if somebody else is in need. I have a personal chiyuv to, if somebody needs money for healthcare, I have a chiyuv to help them pay for it. If I could help somebody to avoid needing healthcare, I have a chiyuv to help them avoid it. And so what does it add to? Oh, it's a chovas hatzibur too. What's different? I'd say we all have a chovas hayachid. So between the community of us yichidim, we all have the same chiyuv. What does it help to say? What does it make a difference that in addition to our individual chovas hayachid, we also have a chovas hatzibur? So we didn't talk about it so much at the time, but maybe three nafkaminas of a chovas hatzibur. Just to think about it, and we'll go forward, is number one, a tzibur has pooled resources, right? It's on a very practical level. So you see that from like the kupa and the tampoi. The din is that tzibur should pool their resources, and the gabbai tzedakah, and we saw this also in a different sugya of machzor al psachim and different shitos about the gabbai tzedakah. Whichever way you cut it, whichever way you slice it, the gabbai tzedakah has a different chiyuv than the yechidim. He gives differently than yechidim, and that might just be because he has a lot more money at his disposal. That's number one. Number two, and this we for sure saw in the sugya of machzor al psachim, is broader cheshbonot. The gabbai tzedakah gives differently than the yachid because he thinks to himself, wait a minute, there's going to be another guy who's going to come. There's going to be tomorrow. There's going to be other tzrachim of the tzibur. We need to buy, we don't only need to support aniyim, we need to buy a Sefer Torah. We have schools, things like that. We saw that also in the sugya of l'shanozu chol mashayirtu, that the gabbai tzedakah, the tzibur, can change tzedakah money from one purpose to another. One reason for that might be because they can take broader cheshbonos into perspective. Number three, the third way which a chovas hatzibur might be different, might go back to the Rambam in Perek Yud. So before we were reading from Perek Tes, but the Rambam Perek Yud of Hilchot Tzedakah of Ma'anos Aniyim, Perek Yud Halacha Aleph says like this: Chayavin anu lihizarim mitzvah tzedakah yosem kol mitzvah satzei. We need to be more careful with tzedakah than any other mitzvah satzei. Shat tzedakah simin latzadik zera Avram Avinu shneimar ki yedati l'man sheitzaves benav la'asos tzedakah. Tzedakah is the siman of the family of Avram Avinu. Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, why do I love Abraham? Because he will teach his children to do tzedakah. And the geula is only going to come from tzedakah. So what's the Rambam saying? That tzedakah is a defining midah of Klal Yisrael, of the community of Klal Yisrael. Zera Avram Avinu as a whole, not just, it's true on an individual level. But it's also true on a community level. Zera Avram as a whole we are a nation of tzedakah. So the fact that there's a chovas hatzibur means that we, as a tzibur, we should express our values, right? The way we express values is not only in our personal lives, like a person who, for Lamash, a person who davens, he demonstrates that tefillah is a value, that relating to Kadosh Baruch Hu, speaking to Kadosh Baruch Hu is a value. The fact that we tefillah b'tzibur, among the other milos of tefillah b'tzibur, is that express that we as a tzibur relate to Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's a value. It's not just, because when you're in a tzibur, you can say kedusha and kaddish and baruch Hu, but it allows us as a tzibur to express these are the values of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael gets together, we daven. Right? We get together, we give a shir. We get together, we give tzedakah. So that's just for the background. Oh, that's just for Chazar, I should say. Now, for just a little background. So now, let's say you have an illness which can be spread from one person to another. Before we get to chovas hatzibur, which is really what I focus on, what about on the yachid? What's a yachid's responsibilities? What's a yachid's responsibilities in terms of health risks and things like that? So, the first place to start is the Rambam in Hilchos Chovel Mazik, Perek Hey Halacha Aleph. And the Rambam says, Maskin is very straight. Asur la'adam lachavol bein be'atmo bein b'chaveru. V'lo achavol belvad el kol hamaka adam kosher b'Yisrael bein katan bein gadol bein ish bein isha derech mitzayin harisa overblows saseh. So there's an Issa Deraisa. This is Deraisa we learn out from the fact that Bezdin gives malchus, but Bezdin can't give too many malchus. So you see that it's usher to hurt another person. Right? So chavala would mean to like batter them to the point that they're bleeding or bruising. Ram expands that, says not only chavala, but really anytime you strike another person. Ram has an interesting formulation here. We're not going to talk about it. Derech nitzayon. There's a whole question like about play. If you're just playing, but can you hit somebody or whatever? So Ram is derech nitzayon. It's in a fighting manner, right? Without defining what that means. So it's an issa deraisa to hurt yourself, hurt somebody else. That's pretty clear. Okay. Now, what does that have to do with being healthy, let's say? Right? That doesn't relate to, let's say, washing my hands, presumably, or eating healthy. So for that, we have the Rambam in Hilchos Deos. Rambam Hilchos Deos, Perek Gimel, Halacha Beis Gimel, and then really almost all of Halacha Daled. I won't read the whole thing. The Rambam basically develops the idea that there's no Maisa mitzvah to eat healthy. It's not like putting on tefillin. And it's not a lo saseh to not eat healthy. You don't violate a law by eating a pastrami sandwich. It's not like putting a lot of cholesterol in your body is not the same as, let's say, injuring yourself, like punching yourself, or sticking a needle into yourself. But what is it? Rambam says it's part of B'chol D'rachecha De'ehu. Now, B'chol D'rachecha De'ehu shouldn't be put down. Rambam says in Pirkei Avos that Kol Ma'asech Yilu Shem Shemayim. Rambam says that's like the Ikar Hagadol in life. Kol Ma'asech Yilu Shem Shemayim. So the Rambam says this is part of that. Kol Ma'asech Yilu Shem Shemayim means when I sit down and eat, I should eat with the kavanah that I'm doing this to be healthy to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Memela, if you're eating unhealthy foods, then that's not good. Now, let's say you enjoy unhealthy foods. Let's say you're feeling down and it feels better. When you eat some chips, you feel better. Well, let's say it's Shabbos. You want to enjoy Shabbos. You eat red meat. Great. So it's not the Maisa as much as the general lifestyle. The Ram says you should be manhig yourself. Al pi ha'refuah. So you ask a doctor, what's a healthy lifestyle? He'll tell you if you have hot dogs every so often, it's fine. Exercise and keep like a generally healthy diet, that's fine. There's not a Maisa Isser of doing, eating this. Wash your hands with soap. No doctor will tell you that if you don't wash your hands with soap, one time, then, you're going to get sick and whatever. As a general practice, it makes sense. A person will limit his exposure to sickness if he washes hands with soap, things like that. So that's really just background. So now here's the question. The question is, what about a tzibur? Is it tzibur's chiyuv in the realm of actually let's do one more Rambam and then we'll formulate the question. One more Rambam is this in Hilchos Rotech Perek Yud Aleph Halacha Daled. So Perek Yud Aleph Hilchos Rotech Shmos Nefesh, Rambam talks about the mitzvah of ma'aken. Right? So mitzvahs aseh to make a ma'aken. Okay, and then the Rambam talks about where you need a ma'aken, a roof and a railing and all things like that. Okay, very nice. Halacha Daled, the Rambam expands. Echad hagag, ve'echad kol davar sheyesh bo sakana, v'roi sheikasha ba'adam v'yamos. Whether it's your roof or whether it's anything that you have which could be dangerous, which has sakana, we have to define these terms. Davar sheyesh bo sakana, something which contains an element of danger, v'roi sheikasha ba'adam v'yamos, and it's possible, appropriate, how to define exactly roi, that a person could stumble on it and die.
Could go and try to look at arrow bar. You have an open pit in your yard. Let's say you have a pool. Whether it has water or not, you need to make a rim, a perimeter around it, 10 tefachim tall, a fence, or to cover it. Any michshol, any stumbling block which could endanger life, mitzvahs aseh la'asiro u'lishamri mimenu u'hizar b'dafar yafa yafa. So the Ram is very verbose here, right? Contrary to his general, very concise formulations, Ram here goes on. Anything which could have sakanas, anything which contains in it sakanas nefashos, it's a mitzvah aseh to remove it and to be careful from it. U'lihizar b'davar yafa yafa. To be extremely, extremely careful with it. Shenamar, what's the source? Hisham elecha ushmar nafshecha. If you didn't remove them and you left those stumbling blocks which lead to danger, one, you violated the mitzvah aseh, presumably that of ma'akev, v'avar belos hasim damim, and you violated a los aseh. Then the Ram says, "Harvei dvarim asu chachamim she'eshem sakanas nefashos." The chachamim Chazal answered many things because they have an element of sakanas nefashos. And if a person would say to himself, I'll endanger myself, and what does it matter? I'm not makna on this. I'm not concerned. We give him makas mardos. Then the Ram lists the rest of the parak. He lists all these things. So the Ram here tells me that in addition to my chiyuv, number one, my general lifestyle should be healthy. Number two, I have a specific prohibition to hurt myself or another person. I now have another chiyuv, an aseh and a los aseh, to make sure that nothing dangerous should result from my actions. We'll use that formulation for now. Nothing dangerous should result from my actions, and the source of that is Rak Hisham Lecha Ushmar Nafshecha Me'od. Anybody know anything that's wrong with that source? What's like a weakness of that source? Ushmar Nafshecha, yeah. Yours, okay. It's on you, not on other people. I hear. Very good. Maskin. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other? Rak Hisham Lecha Ushmar Nafshecha Me'od. Katishkachas hadvarim asher ra'u einecha. The end of the pasuk, the beginning of the pasuk sounds, and in the same context, it says, "V'nishmartem me'ol nafso sheichem." What's the end of the pasuk? In the same context, because same context. The Torah says, be very, very, very careful with your nefesh. I'm going to point out your nefesh, that you shouldn't forget Ma'amad Har Sinai. So the Rambam seems to be adopting. He cuts and pastes from the beginning of the pasuk. So, you see, I have a new mitzvah aseh. So the Rambam didn't make it up. The Rambam has a source, but it's kind of like a weak source. The Gemara in Brachos, Alam Beis on Beis, has a story. So there's a chassid. Now the term chassid is important here. The Rambam has a klal. He says in Hilchos Deos that a chacham is a person who does things in like the balanced way. He follows like the Ishvil HaZahav. Everything is balanced, everything in the right place. A chassid is extreme. He takes things to a certain extreme. So that could be good or bad, depending on the context. But, the Shvil HaZahav is always good. Chassidus, if it's balanced enough, it's okay. But you don't want to get too extreme. So this chassid did something very extreme. He was davening along the road. This important official came along, and he says hello. And this chassid decided he's going to be a big chassid. He's going to keep davening. Ignore the sign. So he waited till he finished. When the chassid finished, the star said, Reika, you empty one. Your Torah says you have to be very careful with your life. When I said shalom to you, why don't you say shalom? I could have cut off your head with a knife, with my sword. You fool. You're a chassid shote. I could have killed you for your insolence. So the chassid responds and says, no, let me explain. He says, imagine you were in front of a melech, and I came and said hello, or what would you do? Would you say hello, or you say no? I'm talking to the king, so I'm talking to the king. Fine, very nice. The sire says fine, and the chassid goes home, and everything's good. That's the story. But this is the source in Shas, presumably, of where the Ram got it from. That Rak Yishamalecha Shmor Nafshecha is the makor that you have to be careful with your health. The problem is that who said that? This Tsar. He's like this non-Jewish, vicious kind of guy. Who said he's right? Who said he's right? So the Chonim are bothered by this. The Maharsha, and this Gemara says, no, it's a good source. Why? Because the Gemara in Shavuos learns from the same pasuk that's also to give yourself a curse. You can't be Mekalel yourself, and it quotes this pasuk as a source. So you see from this that the Gemara in Shavuos learned that, yes, Al Pi Pshuto, it's referring to Ma'amad Har Sinai, but you see that contained within it is also that you have to be careful with your health. The Nitziv and Ha'imek Davar, he kind of bridges the two. He basically says that, I thought this is where you're going from me, honestly. That he says, Shmor Nafshecha means that you have to, really the ikr is to be careful with your nefesh. Zechiras Ma'amad Har Sinai, your spiritual obligation. A prerequisite for that, which is again the Rambam's point, at least in Hilchos Deos, prerequisite for that is you have to have a healthy body. You have to be careful with your health. Don't do things which are dangerous, because if you do, then you will you won't be able to take care of your spiritual obligations. Yeah. Sorry? It seems specifically. No, I think that Ushmor Nafshecha doesn't mean at the time of Ma'amad Har Sinai. It means now, us. We have a chiyuv to remember Ma'amad Har Sinai. Not just it's not just saying, it wasn't a directive given in advance. It was afterwards. Does that answer your question? Then it's not specific to what you said.
You could say possibly, right? Just like they recommended not to go up the mountain unless they might come to die. So too, you should take care of your body, right?
No, I don't think it's just. I don't think it's just. I don't think so. We have a finish? Is that a finish? Oh, repeat the question. Sorry. I'm not clear what the question is, honestly. I'll try to repeat it. But Yaakov is asking if maybe the pasuk is limited to only the door that was at Har Sinai. No. It's just the Torah. And Al Pi Pshat for sure it's only referring to Torah. For sure. You're right. The Gemara is making a drasha. I mean, the Gemara Shavuos makes a drasha. The Hegmon, the Sar, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. The drasha in Shavuos is that you see from this pasuk that a person is not allowed to be makal himself. You can't do something dangerous to yourself. Meaning, even though being makal yourself is not a violation of lo sachavol, we already know you can't injure yourself from the isser chavala. That's bodily harm. But what about beyond bodily harm? What about the Gemara Shavuos is talking about being makal yourself, which is not chavala. The Rambam expands it, presumably based on this Gemara in Brachos, expands it to mean you can't engage in dangerous activity, right? The chassid was not doing chavala, not doing chavala. He just did a foolish thing. He went. Let's apply it to, Let's say you would think that skiing would be included in it. That's right. It's a dangerous activity. It's something where I might get hurt, I might not. The chassid was gambling. So it's totally a drasha. It's not at all related to the pshat, I assume. Yeah. The Marsha's question is that this pasuk is clearly talking about. He says actually, I would say based on Ramban, it's Shichachas Ma'amad Sinai. He says based on Pirkei Avos that it's Shichachas Torah. The Pirkei Avos says quotes the same pasuk. Hisham Alecha V'Shmanashecha. They say that you shouldn't forget what you learned. So he says, well, you see, for the Gemara Shavuos that it also has like a more temporal meaning, more gashmistic meaning. Okay, I don't get into it. I'll leave it a pasuk. Okay. So, fine. Okay, so now we've rounded out the picture. Basically, every person has a chiyuv, a general kind of chiyuv to behave in a healthy way, to have a healthy habits based on b'chol d'orachacha da'ehu, which really relates back to a general mitzvah, and all of the Hilchos Deos relates back to the general mitzvah of v'alachta b'deracha. And that part of Darkei Hashem is you have to be careful with your physical health in order to enable you to serve Hashem in your lifestyle. Then you have an Isser Chavala for yourself and others, and then you have a chiyuv to avoid dangerous situations. Okay, or not just for yourself. I don't know the answer to your question. I'm not sure. Has Hisham al become exported to others? The Rambam seems to, from the Gemara in Brachos and the Gemara in Shavuos, all you have is be careful about yourself. Presumably, the Rambam kind of did a shidduch between Hisham Alecha and the mitzvah of Ma'akeh, because Ma'akeh is very clearly outward focused. I mean, you too. You shouldn't follow your own route either, but the din is really for everybody's sake. So, fine. So that's all our personal chiyuvim. Based on all these alone, every person, let's say there's a disease going around. So what would be what would you get from this? You get every person has to be careful. In a general sense, you shouldn't do things which are as a lifestyle will get you more sick. Okay, so wash hands with soap. Don't intentionally bring a disease upon yourself. That would be probably part of chavala maybe. And then in terms of sakana, so then it's a little bit more tricky. Like, what am I doing that's dangerous? It's not clear. Let's define a little better what sakana would be. And then what I'm really interested in, first to define like what counts as a sakana, and then the second question is, and I think this is the most interesting part for our purposes from the first parak is the definition of sakana the same for a yachid as it is for a tzibur? If an individual comes and asks me, am I allowed to do X, Y, and Z? Am I allowed to go daven in shul? Is that the same as the tzibur asking itself, should we have shuls open? Or do we say no, there's a different set of cheshbonos? Right? There's a chovas hayachid to be careful with health, and there's a chovas tzibur to be doeg for the tzibur's health. Do those look the same or not? So let's look into this. First, in terms of defining sakana, and if for any of you who have been following any tshuvos on this topic, I guess most specifically the tshuva that Rav Twersky wrote was one that really struck me. The most recent one that he wrote, I think the most recent one, the only one that was a tshuva until he wrote like mamar, and then he wrote a tshuva about the issur of having minyanim. So he was dafka not. He explicitly said, I'm not going to get into the details of what defines a sakana. But that's a really important question. I think he did that for a reason, but that's really important. The main question is this called sakana sanfashos or not? That's a really important question. So, what's called a sakana sanfashos in halacha? So obviously, anything which is objectively, whatever, lighting things on fire, things are guns. Some things are obviously sakana. person has a extremely debilitating disease, obviously. But what about preventing, or what about behaviors which are not obvious? So there's a really important klal in the Gemara. It's really not discussed much in the Rishonim in terms of defining its parameters, but the Achronim are very interested in figuring this out. So the Gemara has a principle that it applies in a bunch of places. Shomer Psayim Hashem. Shomer Psayim Hashem. The idea for the Gemara seems to be that sometimes you have something which is really not such a good idea. It's a little bit risky, let's say. It's a risky move. It might even be not just risky, but dangerous. And yet, the Gemara says in a few places that you're allowed to undertake these risky behaviors because Shomer Psayim Hashem. So what does that mean? So let's use one example. The Gemara in Shabbos, Kuf Chav Tes on the base. The Gemara there is talking about bloodletting. So bloodletting was a very common medical practice up until, 200 years ago or so. I'm not sure exactly. And the Gemara here is giving directions for when you should get your bloodlet and when you should not. So the Gemara says that Amar Shmuel, Pursa de Dama, Chad b'Shabsa, Arba Umali Shabsa. So good times for bloodletting are Sunday, Wednesday, and Erev Shabbos. Avoshinim Chamishi Lo, but not Monday and Thursday. Amar Mar, I actually saw a sefer not long ago, a few years ago. I saw somebody put out a sefer, a kuntris, on blood donation. That's a very big mitzvah to donate blood, particularly, certainly in Eretz Yisrael, let's say, it's a mitzvah rabbah and the saving lives, mamish. So this person put a whole kuntris about when you donate blood, like washing your hands afterwards. And they even had, based on this Gemara, and you shouldn't donate on Monday and Thursday. So they're applying this halacha ma'aseh. Kim Dumani that I think we probably don't follow this Gemara, halacha ma'aseh. You just do whatever you want for the reasons of Shomer Psayim Hashem. We'll get to. But the Gemara says you do not on Monday and Thursday. The Amar Mar, a person who has a lot of zechuyos, he should let blood on Monday and Thursday. That's when there's a lot of din in the world. So only if you have a lot of zechuyos. But most people shouldn't. Okay, that's Monday and Thursday. But my time alone. Why not on Tuesday? Mishum the kamle madim bezave. So madim, Mars, the mazel of Mars is in the corner. I don't know what that means. I'm not an astronomer, but whatever. So because it's in the corner, so that's dangerous. Okay. So frankly, Gemara, wait a minute. Ma'ale Shabbos nami kaima bezave. On Erev Shabbos, also Mars is in the corner, so it's also dangerous. So why did Shmuel say you can let blood on Erev Shabbos? That's Gemara. Keva de dashu beirabim shomer psayim Hashem. Since dashu beirabim, since the people as a whole they trample over it, meaning they became accustomed to it. Shomer psayim Hashem. So what does that mean? What does that mean? What do the words mean? Because people commonly do it, Gemara is concerned. How can you let blood on Erev Shabbos? It's dangerous. You can't do dangerous things. It's you're violating Hilchos Deos and maybe even Chalal Mazik. So they must say no. Shomer Psayim Hashem. Since people are used to it, Shomer Psayim Hashem. Hashem guards fools. What does that mean? Hashem guards fools. So Rashi says. So does this mean that anything which is dangerous, but a lot of people do it? So that means now we can do it, right? Is that what you get? So you want to play Russian roulette. So as long as you get like a large group of people to play with you, say that. What bad could happen? So Rashi says, "Kevan dashvei rabim hurgalu bo mipnei dochkan shikrovim l'seuda Shabbos." So people, they didn't have so much money, So the Gemara says in one place that when you let blood, the day after you should eat a nice meal. You should eat fish. It's good, it's healthy. So if you're very wealthy, you can donate whatever, you let blood on any day, on Sunday, and have your fish on Monday, or on Wednesday, and have your fish on Thursday. But if you're not so wealthy, so what are you supposed to do? I know. You'll let blood on Erev Shabbos, because anyway, on Shabbos you're going to have fish, the covered Shabbos. So, because people's lifestyles couldn't bear not donating, not letting blood on Erev Shabbos, they needed to do it. So that became the minhag. Once it became the minhag, Shomer B'Shem Hashem, Hashem guards them. So you see in Rashi that this principle might only apply when people are doing it if they don't. It wasn't just like Stam, we wanted to have a game of Russian roulette, and we didn't want it to be dangerous. We figured we'll get a large seaport. It became the norm because of a compelling reason. So Rabbi Chanan in Kovachim is bothered by this, and he says, what? How does Shomer B'Shem Hashem allow you to ignore? He uses other Gemaras. He's not coming for this one Shabbos. Other Gemaras. How can Shomer B'Shem Hashem allow you to ignore things which are dangerous? So he says it must be that. I'm paraphrasing here. Something along the lines of you have to be normal. You can be normal, and you have to be normal. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to be noeg derech eretz. I think the term uses will be noeg derech eretz. We'll do the norm, and then what will be what will be. The Shmir Shabbos Kelchasa. So Shlomo Zalman, he quotes Rav Neuver quotes Shlomo Zalman in Parak HaMebeis, Pa'ara Beis, the very beginning of the Parak HaMebeis is the one where he talks about Sakanas Nefashos and Shabbos and all the problem of Chol Sheish was Sakana, She'im was Sakana. So at the very beginning there, so he defines what's called a Sakana on Shabbos. What's called Sakana, what's called a Savek Sakana. Even for a Savek Sakana, we are Mechal al Shabbos. So how do you know? How do you know what's called a Sakana, what's called a Savek Sakana? So, well, let's use an example. So something that obviously Sakana. Person has symptoms which could be a life-threatening illness. Obviously, he can get that taken care of on Shabbos. But let's say a person is let's say with us. Let's say with COVID. So there was a shaila. It's not as common now, but really before Pesach, it was very common all over Eretz Yisrael. They were calling people to tell them that they had to go into quarantine. Right? This was back when I think it was Mossad or Shin Bet. One of them was doing a lot of surveillance. Shin Bet is the domestic one. So Shin Bet was they knew where everybody was at all times. So if you were in Osher Ad and then one of the cashiers tested positive, 2 weeks prior, less than 2 weeks prior, so they would call you up and tell you you have to go into quarantine. So at that time, I think a lot of people were leaving their phones on over Shabbos because of the suffix sakana that if I have to go into quarantine, that means I'm potentially a carrier, and because I'm a potential carrier, I could then infect other people and so and I'll leave my phone on Shabbos and I'll answer the phone and things like that. Would you say the same thing about, let's say, if you're not sure if you have the flu? Okay. So if you might find out that you had the flu on Shabbos, would you be able to leave your phone on in order for someone to inform you that you might have the flu? Because if they don't tell you that, then you might go out of your house and you might get other people infected with the flu. Right? And that example is just one way of phrasing. I think the main question was on many people's minds in the last few months, which is, what's the difference between COVID and the flu? Are they different? We didn't shut down shuls every single year for the past centuries between November and March during flu season. People get flu. It's a disease which is transmitted from one person to another. It's certainly true that if nobody meets with anybody else, you will probably limit the number of flu cases. So why don't we treat it the same sakan nefashos, that it could get someone else sick, and if I stay home, then I'll make sure that nobody else gets sick, and I won't get sick. It's like an older person who is more susceptible to the flu. Even if they get a vaccine, it's not 100% effective. So what's the difference? Or another example, driving a car, right? They noted in Israel that car fatalities plummeted during March and April, not surprisingly. So they might have so why do people go back on the road, right? The statistics are that when people drive on the road, people die. So is it a suffix sakana every time you get in the car, right? Should we say potentially a person could die? So all this is obviously will relate to Shomer P'sayim Hashem. Maybe not obviously, but that's what at least the Achronim all developed based on Shomer P'sayim Hashem. The way that the Shmir Shabbos defines it, and he says this is how Shlomo Zalman said it. I think I've heard Shachar say like this, and this seems to be the accepted approach in poskim, is as follows. You see from the Gemara that something which is dangerous, but people don't treat as dangerous, you're allowed to do. It's now mutter. Shomer P'sayim Hashem says that even if, statistically we'll call it, people letting blood on Friday is dangerous, it's worse than letting blood on Wednesday and Sunday. Since it became the norm for a legitimate reason, right? Because of people's poor situation, they just couldn't. You need to let blood. It's like taking Advil. You need to do it, and you can't, because of financial considerations. You can't do it on Sunday and Wednesday. You need to do it on Erev Shabbos. So once that became the norm, it became a risk which everyone was willing to take. Mimela, it's now mutter. It's not. You're not called endangering yourself. You didn't violate the Rambam in Hilchos Rotzech Shmos Nefesh when you did it. Now, what's the very important flip side of that? The flip side of that becomes, let's say the tzibur does treat it as a dangerous activity. They are concerned. People do. Let's say when people got behind the wheel of the car, they were shaking. They were concerned. This might kill me. Then it's awesome. If you have something which, it could be part of a lifestyle, or it could be viewed as a dangerous activity which could get yourself or other people sick or dead, then it becomes asur. Mishum sakan nefashos. So the chiluk then between one activity and another doesn't have to be objective statistics of how dangerous it is, how many people die or get injured or sick, but rather the subjective perspective that the tzibur takes towards it. So then the chiluk between the flu and, let's say, COVID might be one of perception. There is a statistical difference. There are statistical differences. Those statistical differences on their own may not be sufficient to make an nafkamina. Neither one of them might rise to the level of objects of consultation. No one's allowed to do it. But the perception, the public perception of the flu is, it's just part of life. Somebody out there dies from the flu every year. Tens of thousands of people, actually, in the United States, and Israel is probably less than, it is much less than that, but some statistic dies. We don't change our lifestyle because of that. COVID originally certainly was the case that it was perceived as much more threatening. And now at this point, the question that Tursky was Dafka not addressing, but noting is that the main question is, has it gotten to flu status? Is it now like the flu? Halachically speaking, it's a part of life. It's a new normal. It's there. Will somebody die? Probably. Who is it going to be? Nobody knows. Is it enough that we have to take precautions? Objectively, not necessarily, but the perception is going to be the important part. And then the question is, what is the perception and who gets to decide the perception, right? that Rashi, that Mipnei Duchta, because financial hardship dictated people couldn't let blood on Erev Shabbos, could only let blood on Erev Shabbos. That changed the perception. So Rav Twersky really spent a long time on this question of who gets to decide what the perception is. Yeah. How do we determine what's normal? What you're saying? What's the normal activity of people? Like what's the normal perspective? If you have some people, my mother, Baruch Hashem, she's very cautious in general. She was wearing masks long before it was cool. Does that mean that it's now defined? Does that mean that we all have to be kosher? Probably not. It's hard to give exact numbers. Is it a slim robe? Is it an overwhelming robe? My guess would be Dashavei Rabim implies it became the norm to the extent that you don't think about it. If you're making cheshbonos of, well, I might infect somebody else, but probably not. So I'll wear my mask some of the time, but take it off some of the time. So then, and this is what Tversky made this point too. That itself is a siman that it wasn't Dashavei Rabim. If you're kind of being careful, but you really want to daven with tzibur, so I'll go to shul because that's important, but I'll wear my mask otherwise. No, that itself is the siman. Either it's either people are acting like nothing's going during flu season. Nobody says to themselves, but there's a flu season. It's not part of your cheshbonos. It's mamish dash. So what number of people have to do that? I'm not sure. But the attitude, I think, is one of it's mamish dash be'elam. It just is. During flu season, nobody thinks about the flu unless they have the flu. Right? It's just not a cheshbon. Yeah. I've thought about that so many times. I don't know how. The question was, until the robe is established, so then isn't it also for everybody to violate any rules? My good friend once described this as the Amalek problem. That he used a different example of why Amalek, because Amalek jumped into the Ampatya Rosachas. They jumped into the burning hot water and cooled it off for everybody else. So his example was with Havara. There's certain the halacha basically is that if there's a community that pronounces words a certain way, so then you're yotze. It became a dialect of Hebrew. So what about the first guy? The first guy who said E instead of U. The first guy who put kamatz and patach together. Was he never yotze Kriya Shema in his life? But then once a tzibur followed him, so then they all were yotze, or lemafreya. I don't know. At what point does it become? I don't know. The first people, I was very upset at first when people were being carefree with all sorts of government regulations, and then at some point I said, "This is the norm." This is the norm. The norm is that people don't wear masks. It's hard to say that there's a halachic obligation at this point to wear a mask. I'm not passing. I'm saying this. I don't know. I don't know when the tables turn. It's hard to define so well. Yeah. Yeah. Here we should be able to include non-Jews for robe. I'm not sure. The question was, when it comes to pronouncing words, so then I understand how the first guy might have just not been using Kirschman his entire life, because it's only a Jewish question. But here, maybe you'll say that the common behavior got defined by non-Jews, and then the Jews can all jump on. First one, Eretz Yisrael, we don't really, that's not going to help. And the second thing is, I'm not sure. Rav Twersky related to this question. This is his main, Ayin Sham, his main diyun. Do people who don't appreciate the chumras ha'isr of sakanas nefashos count? People are just ignoring. Again, that goes back to the Rashi. If people are just ignoring because it never occurred to them that it was important in the first place. So then what do you get for the fact that they became accustomed to it? If it's that people, let's say with Hakaza, it seems from Rashi that they understood very well that Hakaza on Erev Shabbos is dangerous. But they knew that with it, not doing Hakaza at all was worse. Now you can't live without letting blood every so often. And financially, they just couldn't handle doing it during the week because they didn't have fish except on Shabbos. Like, it just wasn't an option. So they appreciated the cheshbonos, and the duchka forced them into a certain mode, right? So dafka there, you might say that what they decided, what they settled on, became the de facto norm, and then you could then lechatchila just do it on Friday. Meaning, even if I had the option of doing it on, Shmuel said, Shmuel's lashon is not like you should do it on Sunday and Wednesday, and if you need to, you can do it on Friday. It just becomes, these are the days for letting blood, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Friday should have been an issue. It became normal. Once it becomes normal, then it's not cheshbon anymore. But the original people had to take into account. So I don't know if non-Jews or even non-from Jews, or even from Jews, otherwise from Jews who do all sorts of things that indicate that they don't take Sakas Bashos seriously enough, it's not clear that their behavioral patterns make a difference. I don't know. Yeah.
What exactly do you get we would never say, oh, everybody agrees that we can start stealing from each other.
Absolutely not. When do we follow a rove? I mean, it's just in general. We only follow rove in cases of suffix. So let's say everyone's stealing, it's not going to be machriya. There's a Maisa with I think it's the Simcha Bonami Pshischa. I think he's the one that when he was a little boy, the local priest said, doesn't your Torah say Achi Rabbi Mahatos? And if you look around the world, there's a lot more Christians than Jews. So he said, you're a fool. Achi Rabbi Mahatos means when you're not sure what to do, you follow through. But when it's a Vandai, so it doesn't matter. So the fact that I don't think the Rove are stealing, but that's a different topic. But let's say here what we're defining is again, it's kind of what I said to Ellie. It's the attitude. What's the attitude of people? Do people treat this as a dangerous activity? Are they concerned about it? In that sense, when a person starts skiing, does he say to himself, "Oh no, like be careful, don't hurt yourself"? Or he says, "I'm having a good time." And does somebody break a bone when they ski? Yes. Have people die from skiing? Yes. But we're having a good time. When I get behind the wheel of a car, do I think about the statistics of how many people die? No, I don't. It's just part of life that we drive. Why? Because if we couldn't drive, then we couldn't have jobs that were more than 2 miles from our house, and we couldn't go to the store. It would just the change in lifestyle would be too dramatic. It would be too drastic. So in that sense, we're not following the Rove as much as we're understanding human psychology and like what's like the general perception of people. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you're asking, let's say I'm personally very cautious and I think that skiing is dangerous, and I see other people who are skiing about and without a care in the world, and I think that they're playing with fire. The dangerous activity, right? So let's say like the way my mother thinks that lots of things I do are dangerous. No, I'm serious about it. I mean, when I lived in America, so anytime I was on the phone with my mother between December 23rd and January 3rd, she would say like, stay off the roads. There's all sorts of drunk drivers this time of year. It's dangerous. So I was like, yeah. I mean, I love my mother a lot. I respect her a lot. But I couldn't stay off the road. I lived in Staten Island. I was learning NYU. Like I had to be on the road. What? Wearing a coat. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So let's say you're a cautious person. So you can't then change the public perception, right? So it's not going to change the Dashbei Rabbim if the Rabbim just drive on the road between December 23rd and January 3rd. They will. Like you can't make them think it's dangerous. You might go on a campaign and try, but you can't make them do that. But for you personally, it might become us and a haram. If you perceive something as dangerous, and not just because you're a hypochondriac, you're not making things up. There's an activity which has a certain statistical danger to it. If you are concerned about it, it might be usher for you. Or let's flip it around. Let's say on Shabbos, you might be allowed to violate Shabbos where other people can't. Because for you, this is Safek Sakana. You're concerned about your own well-being, legitimately. You didn't make it up. It's something which is legitimate. A person is very, very concerned about contracting COVID, right? So he might be able to do things on Shabbos that other people may not. If they're not concerned, for them it's like, listen, it's just part of life. And I'm not positive, but like that's a very distinct possibility. That the halacha would recognize one person's concerns even while it legitimates everyone else having the freedom to say like, fine. No, so if a person is naturally nervous and they need to drive, so then they should probably get over it. I was thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking about this year. So I was thinking about John Madden. John Madden's still on TV. Is he still? No? Is he alive? Oh my gosh. All right, time out. John Madden was a football coach in the 70s, and then he became an announcer. Okay, and then he started a football game. You know what games are? It's called Madden. Yeah. So Madden, I don't know if he used to announce Monday Night Football every week. He still does. Okay. So Madden, one of the famous things about him is he is extremely afraid of flying. He has an irrational fear of flight. Now, flying is safer than driving a car, as everybody knows, statistically. But obviously, not rationally, but we are much more conscious of being off the ground than on the ground. So he would drive, he had an an RV. Monday Night Football takes you all around the country probably over the course of 6 to 17 weeks. So he would be all around the country in his RV. Now that's probably a lot more dangerous, driving long distances on the highway in an RV on a weekly basis than just taking a flight for a few hours. But kacha. So would it be like usher for him to get on the plane? Right? I was thinking about it. Would it be usher for him to get on the plane? I don't know. I imagine that the point about duchka, like if a person has a compelling reason, we have a general principle in halacha that people are allowed to do dangerous things for their parnasa. And like people, the famous picture when they were building the Empire State Building of this, they hired an Indian, I think some type of Indian, Native Americans. Oh my, sorry, I apologize to you guys in America. I said the word Indian. My best friend's an Indian. I forgot which type. There's some type of Indian who they hired to work, and they were totally not afraid of heights. It's a famous picture of this guy sitting on a steel beam, like 1,000 feet over New York City, eating lunch. He's like hanging out. So the benafsho yavi lachmo, we say. The person's allowed to undertake dangerous things for parnasa. Which, like, historically, it used to be sailing on ships was very dangerous. The ships, got captured and they sank, but people would travel for business. You gotta make a parnasa, you gotta go. So for parnasa, if you have compelling reasons, very often, even things which are dangerous, now, you can't leave a michshol in your front yard. You can't endanger somebody else. The Rambam in Matzayach is talking not only about yourself, but other people. So you can't say, for parnasa, right? Again, back to COVID. A person says, well, I need to make a parnasa, so I'm sick. but I'm gonna have my store open anyway. Like that is absolutely awesome for sure. I mean, you can't endanger somebody else for your own parnasa, but if it's your health versus your parnasa, then it's a fair question. If they're not worried, again, bungee jumping, if they're not worried about it, make me look for them. No, if it's like skiing, right? Let's say you're a skiing instructor, right? You're not being machshil other people. I don't know. I'm using it as an example. Let's assume bungee jumping was in the category of things which people are allowed to do. I don't know if it is. Let's say it was allowed. Or let's say if you're not concerned about it, then you're allowed. I don't know. Then why not? It's like, let's say you're a flying instructor, teaching people how to fly planes, right? Let's say you want to learn how to fly a plane, but not for parnasa reasons. Lama lo, like learning how to drive a car. Probably a little more dangerous, but those planes are probably more, I'm guessing, more dangerous than cars. Not like commercial jets. Okay, it's a little bit late. So let's just finish one more thing, and then next time I'm going to be next Thursday. If there's shear, then we'll finish up. But just one last, maybe just one last famous discussion before we get to we'll get the tzibor element next time.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
At what point would we say Batla Daito Eitzel Kol Adam though?
At what point do you say Batla Daito Eitzel Kol Adam? Good. So let's say a person says, I want to do dangerous things, which everybody agrees are dangerous, but I'm not concerned. Right? Like let's say bungee let's say skydiving. I'm not sure if it is. But let's say bungee jumping, skydiving are everybody agrees are very dangerous. And he says, why not? So I want to have fun. So if it's for parnasa, it's a different story. But if it's stam because he enjoys it, so that might be included what the Rambam says. The Rambam in Paikir Avalacha Hey of Hilchos Rotzeach Shmiras Nefesh says, again, we're not talking about a thing which is automatically going to hurt you. It's not a chavala, but something which could be dangerous. Rambam says, "Kola over alein ve'omer hareini misakein be'atzmi u'ma'ala achirim alai bekach o eini makpid bekach ma'kanaso makas mardos." Right? I mean, a lot of the examples in the Gemara are those types of things where it's we don't eat fish with meat. That's a din. The Gemara says a din. We don't fish with meat. What? Some of us? He ate them together? Somebody, okay. Wait a second, Joseph, wait a second. I was just using the example of fish and meat. That's one of the examples Rambam gives of things which Chazal say. I'm answering the Tal's question. Things which Chazal say are usher that a person can't say, I'm not concerned. You're not allowed to say, I don't mind. Now, poskim, with fish and meat specifically, poskim talk about, does it apply to blios, whatever, fine, But a person's not allowed to say, "Oh, I don't mind." Now that's by an explicit takanas chazal. You're asking me, what about something where just everybody knows it's dangerous? I would assume it's still us. A person can't say, "I want to do dangerous things." That's b'chlal. You're violating hishar malacha, hishar nafshecha.
But what about if you go the other way? Let's say the tzibur at a certain point accepts that COVID is part of life and similar to the flu, and that's it. And then one person wants to be extra careful. Is he allowed to still not go to shul even though he goes to shul for the flu?
I think absolutely. And if a person's if the tzibur decides, let's say with the flu, right? If the tzibur decides that his question was about COVID, but it's the same thing. If the tzibur decides that something is part of life, it's a little bit dangerous. Driving a car, skiing, flu season, any of these things, hugging people. When you hug somebody, when you shake someone's hand, you are exchanging bacteria. Like that's just, you're exchanging all sorts of stuff. So we as a world decided that, we didn't decide. It just became a fact of life that we do things which carry with them some risk. Because, and for good reason, human contact is really important, right? Skiing can be a very good bonding experience. Davening in shul is very, usually these things have a benefit in addition to a cost. So if a person says to himself, can a person say to himself, I want to be extra machmir, I want to not daven b'tzibur because I'm concerned for my health? Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. You can't be irrational, but for sure, there's a fine line. There's some line. It's probably fine between extra careful and irrational, right? But I don't think we're there yet. Yeah, Joseph. Joseph, you had something?
No, I'm okay.
No. Okay. Good to see you. Yeah. Okay. It's a passing sakhan. Right. No, he was definitely a lot of Rav Tversky's analysis related to the fact that nobody really knows anything. That's true. I mean, at some point, cumulative trials and statistical analyses are going to have already and will continue to impact on what we know, and then also just how people perceive like the reality. So yeah, but yeah, that's true. I mean, the flu also is a suffix. Every flu season is a suffix. Like, it's a suffix within a certain range. So here also, the original range of danger was considered to be up to 2.2% of the population could die, which is like an extremely high number. And now it's more like, it's actually much, 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 much less than that. All right, okay. Let's check back on Tversky's lashon. But it's not that we, when people first started driving cars, like they didn't do a statistical analysis to figure out how many people would die, like how much the GDP would increase because of transportation. Like it was just like, this is convenient, this is fun, this will be really a good addition to my life. And what will be, we're not responsible to make sure that we're not part of a statistic. Okay, so one last thing. Moshe Feinstein has a very famous tshuva, which I looked at again this morning, and I realized I don't think I ever knew this before, unless I knew it and forgot. It's addressed to none other than Dr. Meir Rosner. I assume that's Rabbi's father's Hebrew name. His books are Dr. Fred Rosner. I assume it must be him. I don't know another Dr. Rosner who would be getting tshuvas from Moshe, but this is a tshuva about smoking. It's in Choshen Mishpat, Chelik Beis, Simin Ayin Vav. For those who want to look it up, you can confirm with Rabbi Rosner. Choshen Mishpat, Chelik Beis, Simin Ayin Vav. He has another one in your day. I don't remember where. But this one is Dr. Rosner. I assume we can confirm this very soon. But I didn't feel like wasting Rabbi Rosner's time by WhatsApping him to confirm that this is the case. I asked Rabbi Yaakov Wolf to tell me that he believes that is his father's Hebrew name. So, okay. So what does it say in the tshuva? So Dr. Rosner, from the answer, it seems as if the question was, given, I think this was post the Surgeon General's report in the mid-60s, that smoking is actually really dangerous, it's not healthy. as opposed it was used to be like healthy to smoke and so they had this Surgeon General's report, which reported it's actually very, very dangerous. So obviously they didn't have as much data then as they do now about it, but given that report, should smoking be considered asur? So Rav Moshe famously appealed to this Gemara in Shabbos. Rav Moshe said that while it is certainly a mitzvah for a person, not a deraisa, not a, he says, this is an interesting discussion. He says certainly it's true that a person should have healthy behavior, healthy lifestyle, and smoking is not part of a healthy lifestyle. He quotes the Ram Chosteos. He says that Ram is not a mitzvah deraisa, not a mitzvah derabbanan. It's chachma. It's chachma. It's a wise person will have healthy behaviors, healthy attitudes, and healthy habits. I think other poskim might disagree with that. They might say, no, that's even a chiyuv d'Rabbanan. I don't know if anyone says it's deraisa, but at least a chiyuv d'Rabbanan. But Rav Moshe holds that it's not even a chiyuv. It's just in like an Eitzah Tova. And Rav Moshe says smoking is b'chal shomer p'sayim Hashem. It's the norm, and it's so commonly done, that you can't say it's asur. Since then, even at the time, and certainly since then, many poskim have asur smoking, for either because they said shomer p'sayim Hashem never should have applied, or for any number of reasons that we've been talking about. This is like the people who do it don't count, or they don't even know it, or they didn't even realize, or it doesn't apply when you can document and you can see the effect it has, or they also appeal to the fact that now current the most up-to-date studies show that more than 50% of smokers will suffer a significant decrease in not just quality of life, but even just years on their life, whether from cancer or heart disease or all sorts of other diseases. And in which case, if it's more than 50% of smokers, so you can't say anymore, Shem P'sayim Hashem. It's not in the realm of subjective societal attitudes. It's become objective, observable stats that doing this leads to less life. But just one more example of Shomer P'sayim Hashem in Moshe applying it, and then the pushback being some mix of people's attitudes don't count, or those attitudes are limited, or they are trumped by objective evidence. Yeah. Correct. Good. So that's one of the major discussions. How do you project? When the Rambam says, for example, that you have to be meisir michsholos, so does that mean things that's in the future, or only things which are current? And beyond that is the other point you made, which is that one cigarette is not dangerous now or in the future. So you can't ask me smoking a cigarette. You could tell me that I shouldn't be a smoker. But that's where addiction comes in. I mean, given that we know it's addictive, so then So if you want to see the strong argument against smoking, so first of all, the RCA wrote a tshuva. Rabbi Jackson, Rabbi Jackson was one of the authors. It was a cumulative effort, it seems, and there's just a list of authors. He's one of them. But the RCA wrote a tshuva demonstrating why they think it's asur to smoke, and they quote. It's not just them. I mean, they quote Shlomo Zalman and the Tzitz Eliezer, already much earlier had asur Rav Ovadia, who asur smoking. In terms of the question of, they're saying it's not just because of Hilchos Deos. They're saying no. The Rambam in Hilchos Rotzeach would say that it's asur. I mean, the Machlokas doesn't center so much on whether Hilchos Deos is an Eitzah Tova or a Chiyuv D'Rabbanan. they're focused more on no. It's now. It's a little tricky. Like, is it the Misa of the smoking or being a smoker? But since we all know that being a smoker is a life. Like, the lifestyle becomes a Misa. It's a daily. People measure their smoking in packs. It's not like other things where it's an addiction. It's not other things where you say, well, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'll choose when I. Yeah. That Rav David Feinstein said that if Rav Moshe knew the current stats, he would have asked at smoking. It's possible. Yeah, I would said that. Okay, I believe it. It's not like Rav Moshe wasn't enthusiastic about smoking. It's clear if you read the tshuva. No one should read the tshuva and think that Rav Moshe was like okay with smoking. He just didn't want to say it's us. So alcohol, it's not dangerous to drink on a limited basis. It's dangerous to abuse it. So if you're not an alcoholic, so there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol. If you are an alcoholic, it's probably also to drink, right? So the thing about smoking is that there's I don't know how many people in the world smoke but aren't smokers. I don't know. I don't know the stats. Like how many people? There's such a thing. People have a victory cigar. I don't. A friend of mine told me. Whatever. It's not even. Don't go there. Some things are better left unsaid. Not everything thought should be said. Yeah.
Rabbi.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, you. What? Not that one. No one. There's no stats. There are no stats that one cigarette reduces your life by like 5 seconds, and then second one another 10 seconds. It's not like that. There are smokers who die when they're 110 years old. But the stats, the significant stat is it's based on a tshuva of Bnei Tzir. We spoke about it in this might be his most oft-quoted tshuva, where he says on your question of sakanot nefashos, questions of sakana has to deal in the here and now. Anything which is in the future, anything which is currently a potential sakana, so then you can't do it. But if it's in the future, then you can say, I'll follow the road. That's the chiluk Rav Zuckerman makes. So be choshesh for current sakana. But if a person is potentially 1 in 1,000 going to get injured, life-threatening injury, on Shabbos, he can be l'chal Shabbos. If it's a potential future sakana, it's not right now. But he wants to prevent a future sakana. So Binyan Tzion says, then you can say, I'll follow the road. Now I don't know the context. I don't know if that means that you have to follow the road. Let's say on Shabbos, or he just means to say for our purposes, I can do something which is dangerous as long as it's not rove dangerous. But again, let's say traveling on a ship for business purposes. We said before, you can only do dangerous things for business. Let's say rove people who travel on ship die. Are you allowed to say, I'll go on a ship? So that might be a point where we say, no. You can't do things which are rove the time. Even though you're not currently in danger, it's not the being on the ship. There's a potential future danger. So that's when he used rove. So that's where the RCA, in their tshuva, they quote that the current stats are that rove smokers, there's a statistical analysis that rove smokers lose time from their life. Meaning you are killing yourself. And just like it's us, if there's a very, very sick patient in hospital, even if they're going to die in 10 minutes, it's mamish ritzicha to make them die now. Right? Ritzicha, whether the person had another 120 years to live or another 10 minutes to live. It doesn't matter. So if a person is chopping off years of their life, or a day of their life, or minutes of their life, that's ritzicha. Or suicide, right? So if rove people who are smokers, again, we're not talking about one cigarette, but probably smokers, rove people develop complications, health complications that shorten their lives, then that's what RCA quotes. That because of that stat, it becomes, you can't even rely on the Bnei Tzir anymore. You can't even say, I'll be a part of the rove. because the role of smokers have serious health issues that lead them to lose even 5 minutes of their life. Yeah. Corona? In Rav Moshe, you're saying? Why do Rav Moshe? The people who say it's smoking is usher, why do they say it's usher? So there's different things. Look at the RCA Chua. You can get it on. It's very easy to find. They have different types. Number one would be if it's easy to document. With Corona, you can't document. It's not that I'm doing something specifically which is dangerous, and it's not like Russian roulette. Let's say Russian roulette. I can see the danger, and I'm rolling the dice. Like some people who smoke die from cancer. Some people who smoke don't die from cancer. Some people who roulette live. Some people don't. It's not like that. Like going outside when it's flu season or COVID season is not like that. It's not a vada in any sense. It's totally just like something invisible, and some people contract it, some people don't. And it's not, there's no, like, you can't see it. I don't know if it's exactly their chiluk, but that's how I think about it. But Ein Shem, that's one thing. And the second thing is whether you can say Shalom Shalom Hashem at this point, meaning people don't think of smoking as, like, they're just arguing the Metzias. So it's Moshe. They say, like, again, it could have been true in the 60s. It could be that the public opinion in the 60s when Moshe wrote the tshuva, that's my guess. That might be the explanation of David Feinstein. Like, forget about the stats changing. Like, just public opinion change. Like, nobody looks at smoking and says, like, oh, like, well, like, smoking, it's not like alcohol. It's not like alcohol. It's like, smoking is bad for you, and it's banned in public spaces in a lot of places. There's, like, certain general warnings on it. It's like a totally different league in terms of how people look at it. Nobody says, oh, like, some people smoke and some people don't. Like, it's all, you know. Okay, well, so we covered a lot. And Mr. Hashem, the come back to the Bava Basra section, Mr. Hashem, next time.